Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Welcome, my brothers and my sisters, to the Law of One, conscious channeling of LL Research. I am Robert, your humble narrator and host. Today we have another wonderful session. Our guest teacher is Hatonn. Let's get into what the group question is for the day. The question this evening has to do with how a person is able to deal with a situation in which another person is a psychological drain to be around. This might be a person in the home, at work. It might be a situation where you find yourself having to deal with so much of yourself just to survive, in the situation that it feels like you have nothing more to give, and that you're being sucked dry, almost like a parasite or a leech is sucking the blood or the life energy out of you. How can a person find the inner strength or the will and the resources to continue dealing with a person or a situation that seems to take everything out of you that you've got? I am Hatonn, and I greet each of you in the love and the light of the Infinite Creator. It is a great privilege to be with you this evening, and we thank and bless and send love to each of you, assuring that we will be with you at any time you mentally request our presence. We do not speak, but we are there as comforter for those who seek that comfort we have to give. We ask each to remember that we are limited by those things which we know and those things which our teachers have taught us. We are capable of error, and so we ask each of you to discriminate and judge those things which we say, so that you may use those things which are helpful, but leave behind those things which are not. For within you is the power of all knowledge and wisdom, and a very deep memory which the truth resonates to, as occasionally this house resonates in its very walls to the sound of the train in passing, and hums. So does your being hum at the resonance of a truth that is yours personally. You do not learn from us, but merely recognize the truth that you have known, but could not say for yourself until we said it first. For much of what you know is buried deeply within your unconscious mind, and can come to the surface only under careful, protected, and loving circumstances, where seekers of truth may gather together in love and grace abounding. You ask how to protect yourself from the psychic, verbal, and physical attacks of one who is incarnate, that is, in a body and in direct relationship with you. We may answer you in several ways, but we are sorry to say that one entity does not have charge over another. And though we may teach methods which you may practice whereby the effects of such abuse are limited or even nullified, you, in your turn, cannot help or rescue that unhappy and tormented person whose love is so distorted and twisted that that entity must show it in such a painful way. First of all, let us examine the nature of one entity's hold over another. It is normally that of long habit or magnetic attraction. In other words, this entity has been accepted by you as one who has the right to enter into your own private space within your being and your energies due to your own love of this entity. This entity then has the control it would not otherwise have. Thus, the first step in removing abuse from yourselves is to know that you always have free will, that you are safe, but that you must put upon yourselves the whole armor of light and remove from that entity which is abusing the privilege of intimacy the right to that intimacy. It is as though you take in your mind's eye the scissors and you cut the bond. Perhaps you may take your fingers and move them across the area of the navel. It is just above the navel that this entity generally has its power attachment into your energy web. Cut it, seal it, and believe and have faith that you are protected as a free will entity by the full armor of the love and the light of the infinite Creator whom you serve. This is that which is done within. And this is the heart of protection. For you must believe in yourself. You must believe in your rightness and completeness and individual freedom. These things cannot be taken away from you. Not by fire, not by water, not by threat, and not by death. When you know who you are free inside. The next step in dealing with those who abuse the privilege of intimacy by causing hurt and pain and by draining your energy is to refrain from listening to the sense of what that entity is saying. Allow it to be a bubbling brook, a news show coming from a television in the house next door. Surround yourself with a silence. You may hear, but you do not have to attend. You do not have to react. An entity which is vampiric in nature feeds off of fear and demands control. If there is no fear and there is no control, the entity cannot feed its vampiric nature as it wishes. The third level of protection is the walking away. The physical removal of the self from the source of the vampiric and abusive entity. Move to that room which has the lock upon the door and lock it. If necessary, leave that dwelling place in which the entity lays and find peace and silence in a place known only to yourself. If the physical leaving is impossible, then the non-hearing and the non-acceptance, though passive, is extremely productive of results. There may be phrases of seeming agreement when they say, "Yes, yes, of course. Yes, my dear, that could be true. But these things could be programmed to fit. Impersonally, without emotion, without fear, and without interest." Now, these are the things which may be done very quickly. There is an undercurrent which is to be done much more slowly. and we urge that each gaze deeply at the lesson of love held herein. It is said in one of your holy works to pray for those who despitefully use you, to pray for your enemies. For what good is it to pray for those whom you love? Is that not easy? Would that not be simple for you? Rather, pray for those who are not your friends, but your enemies who wish you ill. Through unhappiness and agonies and distortions of their own, pray for them with all your heart. Pray to forgive, and as you become strong inside, pray to forgive the you that was weak enough to attain to such nonsense as that of a vampire who wished to make you a prey. Pray and love and nurture that vulnerable small self that could not defend itself against an overpowering vampiric presence. In praying, you will find forgiveness, and forgiveness stops that karmic tie that binds you to this person. And forgiveness is personal freedom. When you are in a state of fearlessness and forgiveness, then you may see with clearer eyes that which you wish to do that shows the most compassion for all concerned. Sometimes there is a spiritual principle involved, a spiritual principle such as that of the vows of marriage, or any promise that should be kept, that you as a person will die before breaking. We applaud such passion, such commitment, and such dedication to an ideal. And if that is truly the way each entity feels, let it face death gladly and joyfully, for indeed much suffering may lead to the physical death of the body. For the vampiric entity is not satisfied until all life has been taken away. If this is your ideal, we assure you, you lose nothing, and you gain much for those who keep their promises and who stand by their ideals in a world of relativity and illusion are the heroes and heroines of a passion play such as that of your Christ, Jesus the Christ, who kept his promise, though he truly wished not to. If, upon the other hand, forgiveness has brought insight that indicates that there is a more compassionate way within the illusion of separating oneself from the vampiric entity, then in all compassion it is well to do so. But caution, do nothing in service to self, but only in compassion to all concerned, in a state of centeredness and calm, in a state of inner knowing. You see, you have choices. You may choose several ways to be of service. In order to do this, you must know yourself well. Know that of which you are capable and that which you truly desire. It may well take some time to remove the habitual reactions of fear and helplessness against such an overpowering entity. Yet, in truth, you are, as all are, equal spirits. Because one entity is of service to self and wishes to control others, does not mean that that entity may do that with you. For each entity is of equal strength. Each of you is the warrior self, completely calm at the center, completely relaxed and able to respond in compassion and courage and in effectiveness to those attacks which are perceived. So you see, it is the self that must be fully realized by the self. It is no interaction with another that gives one personal strength. It is the sure and certain knowledge of the self. The habits of a lifetime may have taught each that the self is not equal to the vampiric entity, but habits are only habits. You may think of them as addictions. You may think of ridding yourself of them as you would think of a friend attempting to cease smoking a cigarette or drinking the whiskey. You need not be an addict. You may prefer to choose another way to be. In this effort, you are never alone. For as you pray, unseen entities of love and light are all about you on every side. And as you, in all humility, declare yourself to be a person of faith and align yourself with the best that you know, defining yourself by the best that you know, becoming your true spiritual self by this process. You do indeed become quite as strong as any entity, incarnate or discarnate. The other entity may still have, for some reason connected with your learning process, the ability to cause changes in your geographical location and in your circumstances in general. But in no case is such an entity able, except by your own permission and acceptance, able to affect you yourselves. You may be imprisoned. You may be tortured. You may be in any manner of situations. But as you recall who you are, an imperishable spirit of light that lives by faith, you become untouchable. For you have about you what this instrument would call the whole armor of light. And the Creator itself is your protection. For you are as much children of the Creator as any other, as much to be loved and protected as any other, and in no way deficient. Claim your birthright as loving children of a loving Creator. Do the work of forgiveness, no matter how long it takes. Pray the prayers that cut the bonds that tie you to this vampiric entity, and to all who would seek in any way to bend you to their will or to control you against your will. We are aware that we sound as if all were very simple, when in reality we may not understand the complexity of such situations as your illusion is able to provide. This is correct, my children. We do not even wish to concern ourselves with the details of a specific instance of that of which you ask. For though the situation be knotted tightly as the Gordian knot, yet the untying is as simple and difficult as utter and complete humility and forgiveness. Forgiveness of other, forgiveness of self. This is very important, that you forgive yourself for ever being the victim and forgive the entire situation. This we do not suggest to be simple work or work done quickly, but it is the key to all the rest, and we suggest that you pray for the soul of the vampire, for in this way you shall learn to love this entity. As you pray, the love of the Creator surges through you, and you see this entity in its original form. Beautiful, whole, and perfect, just as all entities are. What causes this entity to become a creature of such agony, such pain, that it must turn and hurt others? How very sad is all that entity has experienced, that has so soured, embittered, and caused this entity to become negative and controlling of others, because it cannot control the self. Unloving of others because it cannot love the self. Unforgiving of others because it cannot forgive the self. There is much to pray for in this entity's despair. And as you pray, you will find strength and compassion flowing through you as you deliberately strengthen yourself inwardly with a knowledge of your own birthright, by loving yourself, forgiving yourself, and girding yourself about with light. So shall you become strong enough to love. We go no further in suggesting what might be done, but simply urge compassion. Compassion, tempered with wisdom, leads one within an illusion such as you are in into sometimes strange solutions. Be open to the flow and the energy of compassion and love within. In full discrimination of those thoughts which may come to you, move gently, humbly, and confidently to follow the will of love itself. And do that in your life and in your actions which best express your best awareness of the implications of that knowledge and that love which is yours. It has been said it is impossible not to make mistakes. That is the nature of this illusion. Yet each mistake is a blessed one which holds a lesson of love. When you are discouraged and at your weakest, picture yourself in the arms of the Creator, nurtured and cradled and loved. Infinitely loved. Thus shall you nurture yourself until your pain is quieted and your faith is reawakened. No matter how many times this occurs, nurture yourself again. That is, allow the nurturing Creator within, that female, divine principle, to love and cradle and hold you and rock you and care for you until you may rest in bliss and quietness and renew your strength of the Spirit. Then shall you awaken to the difficult manifestations of this illusion and move into those patterns that are so painful with a stout heart and a very full armor of light and love. And you shall do very simple things, and shall love, and shall not hear, and shall not be affected, and if necessary and possible, you shall walk away. One who seeks to control others deals with indifference quite poorly, and indeed becomes helpless before a persistent and continued indifference. As the storm rages about you, we urge you to gather to yourself your birthright and to be who you really are. Children of love, children of the one infinite creator of all things. Love one another, my children. This is the greatest wisdom that we know. Because that which we have said contains several distinct lines of thinking, we suggest that this group of words be heard several times, that it may more completely be grasped and become a part of your deeper mind. As always, we urge you not to accept anything that does not make sense to you, but only follow the advice that seems to resonate within you, a re-echo of a bell. My children, how we love you, and how grateful we are to have been with you this evening, speaking through this instrument. She too had need of these words, for she too faces the vampire, that impersonal one which is called pain. Too often does this instrument forget that it too is a child of love, and does not need to fear the illusion of pain. Your pain has eyes, a face, a form, and a seeming reality. This instrument can in no way seize hold of a vampire that attacks it, yet pain of heart or soul or mind or body is of one and the same nature. It is the vampire which must be faced, loved, forgiven, realized as part of the self, taken into the self, made so much a part of the self that is not chosen. But there is no longer any fear. There is no longer any adversity. There is no longer any struggle. Such is the power of your own faith in love. I am Hatonn. We are aware that those present this evening have traveled far and are weary, and we thank each for the effort that was put forth in order that this circle of seeking might be formed this evening. We are most grateful to be able to share our vibrations with yours. We cannot thank you enough for the opportunity to speak our humble words. We hope that in some way they might be of service to you as you continue in your daily lives to seek and to share the love and the light of the one infinite Creator under all manner of circumstance, many of which seem most burdensome at this time. We are known to you as those of Hatonn, and we shall leave you at this time, glorying in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Adonai, my friends, Adonai.